we need to be talking about the one thing everybody in cryptocurrency should be doing at this very moment. In 2021, I wasn't doing this. It cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. So I'm going to share it with you guys today so that hopefully you don't make the same mistakes I did in 2021. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and let's talk about what everybody needs to be doing right now. First and foremost, if we look at what the markets are giving us today, we have Bitcoin just around $103,000. And $103,000 actually coincides with the 50-week moving average. As we can see, it is now another weekly candle. Obviously, it's only Tuesday as I'm recording this, but we have another test of the 50-week moving average. Now, as you guys all know, this is a crucial level of support for Bitcoin and for Bitcoin's bull markets. And right now we are back at that level and hopefully support does hold. But of course, this has come with a huge amount of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the markets. We are seeing pretty much everyone be split 50-50 as to whether or not there's going to be, a continuation of a bull market or whether or not we are going into a bear market. Now, if you look at the fear and greed index, it's currently in fear. We're at 31. If you look at, the past 30 days, we've essentially been around the fear level since Bitcoin has topped in, early October. Ever since then, the fear and greed index has quite literally been in this fear, sometimes peaking in the neutral category. But with that said, this is why everybody should be preparing for both scenarios. Now, there are arguments to be made on both sides as to why Bitcoin has topped or why Bitcoin hasn't topped. You can make the arguments that, the government's going to come back and reopen. There's going to be more interest rate cuts. QT is going to end. All of these are bullish things, which obviously I'm, leaning towards, but I also understand that there are, that other 50% that are saying that Bitcoin has topped following the 4-year cycle, looking at what happened in early October for Bitcoin to be at $126,000. At the beginning of this bull market, I was expecting Bitcoin to reach $130,000 to $150,000. So it is relatively there, even though there are still many catalysts happening in the future. So with that being said, nobody has a crystal ball and nobody can tell you with certainty that this is what is going to happen next. As I said, there are arguments to be made on both sides, but what I am doing is I am creating myself a plan so that I am ready for scenario A or scenario B, and that if you believe in, let's say, the bull scenario, which I still believe, you have to have invalidation targets so that you're not left just holding the bag or buying more and things just keep falling and falling, and vice versa. If you are bearish and the market rallies, well, you have to have a plan to act and not continue getting wrecked on short trades or not missing out on some of the potential gains that you could be doing during a bull market. Now, I know it sounds easy and I know it sounds obvious, but trust me when I say this, in 2021, when the bull market was actually finished, I was left holding a lot of different bags. I was trying to dollar cost average, trying to catch the bounce, but unfortunately, I was just catching L's and falling knives and basically losing more money by investing more because I didn't have any invalidation criteria and I was just hopeful that the markets were going to rebound, and unfortunately, they did not. So if we go ahead and take a look at my 6-step plan for investing in crypto and, being prepared for both of these different scenarios, well, first and foremost, step 1 would be to have a plan. Now, this also sounds super simple, but how many times are you buying a token because someone's shared it, or you see it go up 100%, or you see it go down 100%, and you're like, well, I'm going to buy it right now because it's the perfect time to buy, either for FOMO or either to buy the dip. Now, if you're just buying that token to buy that token without having done research, without having a plan, you're going to be left wondering when to sell that token, which is why having a plan going into the token is the best thing that you can do. Literally, it takes about 5 seconds. Understand why you are investing in it. What is the reason you are buying that coin specifically compared to another? And that's going to help you really understand why you're going into that coin. And if you can't answer any of those questions, well, maybe you're just buying it for hype and there isn't real motivation behind it. Now, step number 2 is understanding what you bought. Again, if you followed someone to buy this coin, you're always going to be looking for that person to either sell or buy more of it to understand whether or not you should be doing the same. That is the worst thing that you could possibly do. Narratives go up and down like crazy. We have AI agents, going crazy. You have privacy coins going crazy, but then when the market rotates, privacy coins take a dip and other narratives do well. So you have to be, following the markets and understanding why you bought a specific coin at a specific time, and if that timing and narrative is still valid in the current sentiment of the markets. Now, number 3, probably one of the best things in reality is to having realistic goals. If you're investing, $100 thinking you're coming out of this bull market with $100,000, you're probably better off going at the casino and trying to make that happen because the chances of it happening are slim to none. So setting yourselves realistic goals depending on the coins you're buying is absolutely crucial, and also understanding the risk to reward ratio that you have of that specific coin, so that if you are buying riskier coins in the hopes of making more gains, well, you understand that you're also going to have a whole lot more risk. So your portfolio may vary a whole lot more than if you were into quote unquote safer coins. Now, if we take a look at step number 4, this is probably something that's always good to come back to. Stop pushing the goalposts. As I said at the beginning of the video, when I came into this bull market, I believe that Bitcoin was going to be anywhere from $130,000 to $150,000 at the top of the cycle. In early October, it went to $126,000. Again, I don't have a crystal ball whether or not Bitcoin is going to come back to make a new all-time high this cycle, or if the October high was the top of the cycle. But again, understanding that my initial thought was 130 to 150, Bitcoin having reached 126, well, that is relatively close. And I'm understanding that if I continue to just say, oh, well, I think Bitcoin's going to do, 140, 150, 160, 170, well, I am just pushing the goalpost for Bitcoin. Again, you can do this with all of your coins. As they get closer to a certain value, or as time goes on, you have to reassess that goalpost, and you have to understand and put yourself back in the realistic goals that you have, so that you're not just holding for pure hope, or you're not just holding the bag for a rebound. Now, step number 5 is probably the step where everybody needs to be doing right now, and that is having invalidation criteria for any of your positions. If you are in a coin right now and it's only been going down, it's lost every single support level, there's literally, looking at the chart, it looks completely broken. Well, you should have had invalidation criteria so that you weren't left holding the bag all the way through these different support levels. That was exactly what I was doing in 2021. I was identifying support levels, and then it would go right through it. And then I was like, oh, well, guess what? There's another support level down $10 or 10% lower. And then every 10% continued to pile up. And at the end of the day, I, in some cases, lost over, 50, 60, 70% on some different altcoins that just never found support and never came back as the bull market was ending. Now, of course, on the opposite hand, if you are thinking that, we are going all the way back down to basically zero for Bitcoin, I don't think that's going to happen. But if you're ultimately bearish on the entire markets and you're shorting everything and the market flips, well, then look at resistance. If resistance levels are being broken on the flip side as the market recovers and you're still adding to your short positions, or you're still thinking that the next resistance level is going to be the one that crashes everything, again, you are pushing the goalpost, one, and two, you're letting your invalidation criteria get the best of you, and you're letting emotions really dictate your next move in that position. So in this example, we had, Bitcoin 50-week moving average. If there's a few weeks of Bitcoin losing the 50-week moving average, I'm going to be looking at what to do with my portfolio. There's also those bullish catalysts that are coming in the next few weeks. I'm going to be looking at what that does to the crypto markets and the stock markets. And then as we get closer in time to 2026, I'm going to be looking at my positions as we get more information and making sure that I'm not just letting go of my invalidation criteria, so that if the market does shift in one way or another, I'm prepared to adjust my positions. Now, last but not least, step number 6 would be to take profits or to close positions that have met your invalidation criteria. So in the example of losing support or the example of losing resistance, you would be, acting accordingly based on your invalidation criteria. And I do understand that closing a position in the red is probably one of the hardest things to do. If you look at your investment and it's down 40% or so, and things are just collapsing in the macroeconomics of things, and you're saying, well, I still have X amount, it can find this support, it can do this, it can do that. Let me tell you that in 2021, I was doing this, and like I said, things just continued going down and down. So losing 40% is a lot better than losing 70 to 80 to even 100% of your position as things cascade. So you have to be okay closing positions and, of course, opening new ones should some of these criteria be met again. But ultimately speaking, you have to be okay with not marrying your crypto bags and moving on from different positions as all of these different criteria happen depending on your position in the markets. So again, I'm not making this video to say I'm bearish on the markets. I remain bullish until proven otherwise. But you have to understand that most people are likely going to want to be bullish and bullish forever because it's much easier to make money when the markets are green. I'd probably, bet that 70% of people in the markets have never short traded anything. So when the markets are red, they're not making money because they're not going into short trades. So it's much easier to make money when the markets are green in that sense. But again, I remain bullish as the crypto market continues to move forward. But I do have those invalidation criteria so that if the market switches, I'm able to also understand switch and not become emotional about the money that's happening within my positions. And on the flip side of things, if you're bearish now and the markets flips against you, you should also be able to acknowledge that with your invalidation criteria and move on from those positions. So with that being said, that is what I think everybody should be looking into right now, depending on the positions you have. Of course, none of this is financial advice, just my opinions. Like I said, in 2021, I wasn't doing this. I lost a lot of money. So hopefully some of these can help you save a little bit of money as we are in this uncertain time in the markets. And hopefully these bullish criterias can really come true and turn this market around. If not, we will be prepared. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out the first link in the description below. That's our private community. I'm sharing with everyone in there what I'm buying, what I'm selling, and what I'm doing. If you are interested in that, it's the first link in the description below, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace.